This one's for the SDSU, the Tracy.
He signed it.
Yeah, so who's signing it? Anybody?
I already sent it.
It's already signed.
So yeah, it's up.
Travel Secretary?
Yes.
Chris Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wama?
Yes.
Lloyd Kirk Jr.?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
E. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
No.
Travel Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed.
Anything, you got another action on it?
We have one last one, and this one is this one's a sub-award written again. So a little backstory on this one. In 2012, I worked with SDSU, or Sanford Research. It was a 5-year project that we worked on, and we wrote a curriculum called My Journey. It's a teen pregnancy prevention curriculum, and our tribe owns the rights to that curriculum. So what this is, the rape prevention education that Tracy works with, also Tracy McMahon, they came to her and asked if we could write supplemental lessons to My Journey that address sexual violence, rape prevention, that type of stuff. And so that's what this sub-award is, that they want a sub-award with the youth department, with me working with Tracy, writing these additional lessons for My Journey. And so the sub-award is written for 8640 or 8460 that they would give the youth department for my work on the project. So that's what the last one is. Yeah, this is no money coming out of our budget, it's money coming into us.
So moved by Tokenwa for approval.
Second.
Second by all agency. Question by Curtis.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
E. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wama? Lloyd Kirk Jr.?
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Travel Secretary? Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members of the council and
So much.
executive.
That's everything. Thank
All
you.
right. Members of the council, motion to approve the youth department report. Motion made by Tokenawa, second by Kakiza Haska. Question by all agency.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
E. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wama? Lloyd Kirk Jr.?
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Travel Secretary? Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members of the council and the executives. For our action items, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Johnson for the Education Office report.
Thank you, Chairman. I have before you the, my agenda and the packets, and you also got the digital packets there. I did send you the truancy section, which we had a tribal council roundtable on, and I'd like to present that to you for eminent, as an eminent need for our tribe for passing of the codes. What it is the truancy section allows our prosecutor and our judicial system to see cases and hear cases in court, and it allows them to be charged with failure to attend school under the education code rather than being charged with child abuse and child neglect and under the juvenile codes. And so I feel like this is an imminent need. It's our numbers are skyrocketing according to the pandemic, and we have a lot of students that really are on virtual learning. And then, so you understand that this, I'm asking the council to request this. I have circumvented the judicial process for this. I'm bringing it to you as an emergency need. And know that my education codes, this will be embedded in the education codes and be taken back to judicial. I'm already on a review with the judicial, so I'll formally take it back to them, and it'll go back out to the districts and for approval through the whole process. And so at that point in time, our districts will have opportunity to comment.
Dion, your hand was raised. I'm going to turn the floor over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So have you consulted the child, because I saw the child protection program manager mentioned here several times. Have you consulted her?
Yes. She's
in favor of this, because when I asked her yesterday, she said she hadn't received.
She saw the draft, but not this version of it.
Okay, so she's aware and she's okay with, and it's okay, you know, she's okay with, because there's still reports for abuse and neglect in there.
She does not want to have, what she tells our education department is truancy is an education problem, and unless it's really harming the child, she does not want to be involved in that. So excessive absenteeism involves the child protection program because that becomes a matter of neglect. And that's where they get involved. She does not want to be involved with anything at the first levels of parent training and parent, because that's what really the penalty is. It's parent training, parent meetings, monitoring, and other things depicted by the judge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions or discussions coming from the leadership? Madam Secretary.
Dr. Johnson, it says mandatory attendance. A child between the ages of 5 and 18 must be in attendance in school 90% of the time. What is the legal age of that a child must enroll in school? I thought it was 6 years old.
It's 5.
And then a child can actually drop out at the age of 16 if they wanted to and not be charged.
Our tribal codes say 18, Secretary.
So both of those, are they in conflict with the South Dakota, or is it this is just our code?
This is our code, and this is what governs on the reservation lands or with our tribally enrolled members. It does conflict with the 16 and 18 with the state.
Okay. So they have to be enrolled in school at the age of 5.
Yes.
Thank you.
So they start kindergarten.
Go ahead, Dion.
Is this a cop for homeschool kids?
Yes.
Okay, so is there a process outlined somewhere in the education code for that?
There is a process for the homeschool kids. One of the, how the process works for homeschool kids is our 2 tribal schools on reservation cannot accept homeschooling. That's against their regulations. And what they have to do is, the process is you have to enroll in the public school district of which you're zoned into, and you go through there. What we have outlined, though, is some processes to monitor those homeschool, because they're supposed to go in and they're supposed to have adequate progress on homeschooling. We also know that they have to have the assessment. So no matter what, wherever they go to school, they still have to go in and take the high stakes tests in school, because it's not being allowed anywhere off.
Oh, I do have a question. So I noticed in here that there was, when I reread it, because I read it, and I really wrote it out, we read it, and then I reread it again, and there talks about parent support, or like mentors. I can't remember the exact term. And it said that tribal council may appropriate funding for that. So do you have funding source for any of that? Because we adopt this, we gotta know what it is.
Yep. So right now, we'll figure out what we have within our own program to start that. If it's adopted, then we have to follow this. I am hoping that the court does have opportunities to write in for, because there's also a juvenile court. Do you see it's a truancy court that's being established? And so that's a whole thing that we've been talking about, you know, with the previous attorneys. That's been a long time coming. And we had heard that they were writing grants for that, but I'm not sure whatever happened with that. It just fell by the wayside. I don't know. But we did have teen court running once in this tribe, and that was it was functioning then. Our peers, which they were the judge and jury, with the peers, the students themselves, are actually harsher than our own adults. So I'm hoping that we can make a blend of something like that. I'm hoping that we can write a grant that will, there's a lot of juvenile justice type grants that we can actually fund this and put these initiatives, because we need some staff to run this. But yes, we are working on that.
Would you have a timeline for when that might be?
When all of this happens, once this is passed and approved, it starts now. So those implementation stages start immediately.
So we don't have the staff to, we don't have a funding source, we don't have the staff to provide the services, but would you want us to approve this?
We don't have the juvenile court set up yet, the juvenile truancy court. So that'll have to be some planning going on within the judicial and the attorneys and that part of it. The mentoring, that I definitely have. I can do that. So the mentoring, and we have a lot of programs. We have MOUs with most of our programs, and that's definitely going to happen. So if we don't have our juvenile court, truancy court running, it still falls into our regular court system for juvenile.
Yeah, you finished?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm going to turn the floor over to Madam Secretary.
Dr. Johnson, on section C, B, peer mentors or truancy interventionists may be hired by TED for both the student or parents to provide daily coaching or encouragement by phone. Where does the Teoshpazina tribal school staff, where is their responsibility, and why is the TED office having to do this part of it?
We're like the next level. They do have their M-team meetings going on, and Secretary, the request is to meet with the executive committee on working forward with all of these on the 22nd. So that, to working forward for the details, because Teoshpazina came in here the other day trying to meet with tribal council, but it was really administrative discussions that they want. And so, and the child protection program manager, Mickey, wanted to be there. So it's moved to the 22nd. And so I don't have a date and time. I have the date, but I don't have the time to make sure we can meet with you.
How many students do we have in truancy court right now?
I have to look at the truancy report we gave you. All I know is it's a lot.
I talked to the prosecutor yesterday about and since the beginning of the year, they've had 100 cases. So I think it's about 200 cases or so. Dr. Johnson, does that sound right, about 200 cases?
It might be more than that.
Might be more than that? But 100 since the beginning of the year. Since January.
Yeah. It's in her quarterly report. Sammy Pomini is the truancy interventionist. It's in her quarterly report. I'll make sure you all get that figure, because she reports that out to me every month. It goes into the secretary's report, but she also has done a little bit more detail in her quarter report. And so I'll get that to you.
Still good.
Yeah, Madam Secretary, you still have the floor.
At one time in the past, in the recent past, I mentioned about, maybe we should look at a hold harmless policy for the students and the parents due to the pandemic. There's no concessions made for them as in relation to the pandemic, I noticed. So, I hate to see all these kids. These are good kids, going to truancy court, and I realize all the other factors that are involved with lack of parental oversight at home because the parents are working. So I think a lot of these kids are falling through the cracks. They've fallen behind because they don't have that adult supervision at home in many cases. So I'm just wondering about the hold harmless part of that, because we passed something for education before about holding harmless, but we're not holding harmless in this case. So I was wondering about that.
So I do know the schools at that level do the hold harmless. And so they have concessions. And I was actually working with a family yesterday. So, they get referred to court, but it's a two-edged sword there, because I also work and advocate for the family. So this family came in and discussed their situation and what was going on. So, I said, well, okay, so get your everything in writing from your schools, get their actual virtual, digital, on-learning program rules and guidance. Because there's some question about, well, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. I wasn't communicated with. Where do I get that? And go online, because your child's attendance goes on the Infinite campus, and you have passwords. You can get in and you could monitor them. Their grades go in Infinite campus. You could monitor and watch that. So I'm also helping parents on this side of really understanding, you have power in your hands. It's just that, maybe you need me to really reach out to these people and make them accountable, because it's works with both ways for staff and students. I always tell the school board, because they listen and they have compassionate hearts also. But our problem, it's going to take a shake-up for attendance to improve. And it hasn't improved in the last 6 years. It's getting worse. Not at every school, but at our biggest tribal school. And so it's going to take a hard push at parents in truancy to change a systemic problem. And that's what it is. It's a systemic problem that they don't have to send their kids regularly. So, Secretary, I know that's hard, and I know you have a good heart for our community, our parents, and I can hear it from Dion. She's the one that just cracked my whip at the round table too. And, but this is what it's going to take for some of our parents to realize how important education is.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'm going to turn the floor over to Dion because she's eyeballing me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So along those lines, Mr. Chairman, I did have something else that I wanted to present as well. So whenever I can get a few minutes, I would appreciate that. I think it's alarming, and I also think that administrators, in my own experience as a mom, there hasn't been options for kids. And I read through the charter for, at least for System Walking School Board, that they're supposed to be providing alternatives. They're supposed to be providing options for kids. And especially with this pandemic, there are no options. As a parent, this is a lot of pressure. It's been more pressure than the regular expectations of a parent placed on us, because now we're responsible for supervising. And I've heard tons I mean, we're talking 20, 30 stories of parents that I know are excellent parents and are struggling. And I shared some of this stuff with you, but I think there's technical difficulties. You know, my daughter wasn't on one of her classes for a month, and I didn't find out until I got a phone call and they said, your daughter hasn't been on for a month. And I said, what? She wasn't on the Google Classroom, the teacher didn't put her on. So there's issues like that where the school is at fault as well, and the school is responsible as well. And I think, you know, as far as I know, the administrators get pretty good salaries, and I think maybe now is the time to make them earn their keep, come up with some of those options. Because if the law and the legal part isn't working to improve this issue with truancy, then maybe the staff needs to work on engaging the students, finding ways to engage the students. I know there's a lack of clubs and extracurricular activities at our schools that, I don't know about, but when I was in school, that's what kept me going, because I wanted to go on that drama club there. I wanted to go on that to cheer for the game. And so some of those opportunities, I think we need to be encouraging our administrators to be finding ways to engage students, because if you have a master's degree in something, I think you have the skill level to be engaging those kids. So whenever, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to be difficult, but I see what's so alarming to me is that, wow, 100 kids since January going into our court system on probation. So I'll bring that up. I'll speak more on that when I have the opportunity to present this. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson. Secretary, the other thing is this, at Roundtable, the Tribal Council wanted me to definitely go on the radio or the TV or something with Tom and really talk about this and get a chance to answer some questions, and also put something in the newspaper so parents are realizing why this, why I value this and why I think it's so important. And the huge change in the truancy code for this between here and that and now and back then was there's a huge section on restorative justice, which I really like that part added by our attorney Kim Craven. And so, that's huge. So this is the first time we have something like that also written into our truancy code. So the steps are there. There's all these different steps and to make people accountable. And, that's part of it. So I will have to do, I am assuming I'm going to do those two things to really put some information out to the parents and out to our community. And then also allow them, get my education codes back in the judicial process so they can go through and people can comment further on them and we can do all of that. So, go ahead.
I think that should be done before we pass this today, because anytime you create a code that impacts the community, they have to have a voice in it. They have to have input. And that's, I would like to see parental input into this code change. And I would like to see Tioshpazina, and I really, what Lake Traverse just said, the responsibility is at Tioshpazina. I know the Tribal Education Department is doing a lot of work, and I know what you do, Dr. Johnson, and you work tirelessly, and I appreciate that. But we cannot take their responsibility to engage these students. And if the truancy numbers are that high, then what is the school doing about it? Do they have homeschool coordinators? I know they don't, but I think they need to reach out to these parents and these students. And there's any number of issues there. You could have parents that are not computer literate. You could have lack of supervision at home. Maybe the kids are babysitting while the parents are at work. I mean, there's a lot of variables to consider before they just throw these kids into court. And I think we need to put the responsibility back with Tiosh Bazina, partially with engaging these students and reaching out to these families. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Going on to Gypsy Haipa, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'd like to make a motion to approve the mandatory attendance, the truancy code that she did in her packet, page 2 and 3. Only so that if they're, with the problems with all the truancy, that at least the parents aren't going to be charged with criminal neglect and such.
So moved by Haipa. Hold on, Junior Kirk. Second by Oladensi. If there is no question, I'm going to call for a vote.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes?
Lloyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
No.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, members of council and execs. Anything else, Dr. Johnson?
Thank you, Tribal Council. I also would like to have a motion. I gave a letter in there for the chairman to sign and the secretary to sign on our intent for our tribe to waiver the South Dakota State or the BIE academic standards. And then also in the letter is the request for technical assistance, because what that does is it makes the BIE provide us technical assistance in developing our work groups.
So moved by Oladensi. Second by Tokunawa. Question by Haipa.
Lloyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes?
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Yes. Chairman, motion passed.
Dr. Johnson?
Thank you, Council. I'd like to propose the date of May 10th for the tribal consultation. A schedule was attached in your packets, and I'd like to have that as an approval. I also would like to amend our tribal consultation. You have the old packet, which was approved in November of 17, but you also have the new packet, and the only change there was an update of adding Rossalt School to ours, and also to allow for Zoom and virtual type meetings for the pandemic. Those are the only two changes in it. Otherwise, our consultation package actually follows and adheres to the federal law.
Motion to approve by Madam Secretary. Second, coming over by Dion, representing Lake Travis. Question, Oladensi.
Tribal Secretary. Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes?
Lloyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Yes. Tribal Vice Chairwoman. Yes. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, council and execs.
Thank you, Council. The next action item I have is the JOM bylaws. I have amended the bylaws to include language for the pandemic to allow us to meet quarterly and to allow us to have virtual meetings.
Any questions or comments coming from the council or execs? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second. All latency. Question by Madam Vice Chairman.
Yes.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Lily Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Travel Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council. The next action item I have is the social studies standards. You've had several copies and you've had the digital one there. This will stay in draft. It will be approved. If it's approved today, it will remain in draft for the duration of the year and allow our teachers, this is their first draft, and allow our teachers to work through it, see what works, but it's also going to allow us to add more local history, culture, and all of that we need to have in there because it's just not that point. So I'd like to ask you to approve the draft copy of the Sistan Waptan Oyate Tribal Social Studies Education Standards.
Members of the council, any questions or discussions? Are you feel comfortable with that?
Is it in here? Is it in here?
No, it's not in there, but we dropped it off at your offices. I have more copies though.
Oh, I got that one.
It looks like this. I brought copies just in case.
So moved by all latency.
Second.
Second by Kakiza Haska.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Floyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Lily Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Chris Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Juan.
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Chairman, that concludes my action items. I have a couple FYIs for you. I attached in your packet the ACTS Biden-Harris letter that's very informational. I also want you to know that our Tribal Voc Rehabilitation Program is putting these packets out to your districts, so they're trying to get them into the district centers for hopefully sometime when they're having live meetings. And so that information is either being given to you guys or else the tribal chairman of the boards. And then also talking about the waivers, our Bureau of Indian Education has not waivered anything yet for our last year or our present year. So we have not, we have not received that official notification yet as any waivers. And the other one is there are talking a lot about waivering the high stakes assessment. But the Department of Ed is adamant that that high stakes assessment will go on. So the schools that are virtual will actually have to bring their students in. And so that includes some of our area boarding schools. They will have to come in to do that assessment. So I'm still following what those are going on. We're waiting for the new Assistant Secretary Havlin to work on the waivers, and then we should get a response on that. So that sounds really good. Also informational is our Washington trip for our Sisseton School District is been tentatively scheduled for June. So we haven't heard from that organization. Our parents have paid their portion for, and it's been sitting there. And so that trip sounds like it is scheduled. And that's all I have for you today, Council. Is there any questions?
Dr. Johnson, did you need that? Or I know I was gone for like a couple minutes. Did you need that $21,200 approval from council? in your report? Or is this
Yes.
why?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you. Good catch. I would have really been in trouble. Yes, I do need that.
You skipped right over it. I thought it was done already.
Nope, I have it. If
So
anybody
moved,
needs
Mr.
another
Chairman.
copy.
So moved by Kakiza Haska, second by Atea DP.
Is this coming out of COVID? Is this related to COVID, Dr. Johnson?
This is within our budget, yes. This is for the internet and it's planned.
Question by Madam Secretary.
Chris Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Tijuana,
Yes.
Floyd Burke Jr. Yes. Alex Owen. Yeah. A. Lydia English,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Deanne Crawford. Yes. Travis White, Chairwoman.
Yes.
Travis Secretary. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Before I ask for approval for the education report, anything else? Nothing? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, council, I passed out a copy of this resolution. We talked about, and we've heard, and I think probably in our communities, in our capacities as council people and executives, we've all heard about the truancy. We just heard our in-house counsel say that there are over 200 children that are in court right now for truancy. I know as a parent, it's a very difficult relationship to navigate right now with the pandemic, and I know this is an issue, and in a regular school year, I really want to commend Dr. Johnson. I know I was tough, but I really feel strongly that through my work and my previous work and looking at some of that data, it's really important that we not put our kids into the court system as much as possible. If we are having that many kids go into the court system, this isn't a truancy issue. It becomes an issue larger than that. It becomes an engagement issue. It becomes an IT issue. This isn't just about truancy when you see numbers like that, because I called the state's attorney's office yesterday. To date, they have around 40. So in our court system, we've got over 200. The state, who normally prosecutes our people at a rate at 90% higher than non-tribal members, is at 40. So this is an issue for us. So I brought this. I'm asking to adopt this. What it would do is it would suspend the truancy code, and now we have another system that's going to be coming in place. This would also give our kids something that they can have those. They have something where they can go in and ask for those charges to be dismissed. Where this is serious for me as not only a mother, but as a leader, is that kids, when they have that juvenile record, they become ineligible for things like the military. They can be ineligible for employment. There's even those really high up universities that look at juvenile records. So this truancy issue that is occurring now since the beginning of the school year is largely driven by the pandemic. I had a parent say, every institution, the tribe, the casinos, the SWC, they have all implemented policy for the pandemic, but our schools are the only ones that aren't doing that, and these are our kids. And so I want to make a motion to pass this. I pass copies out. Suspending the truancy code as it is right now and giving our kids a little bit of leeway to go into court and ask for those things to be dismissed. That's my motion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Moved by Lake Traverse. Second by Tokunoa. Any discussion before I ask for a question? Madam Vice Chairwoman, then I'm going to turn it over to Curtis.
So Dr. Johnson, have you had a chance to review this? And do you have
I haven't seen it.
And how would it impact the schools? Have we had discussion with you on it?
Well, I haven't had any discussion with the schools because I have not seen this. The schools do have policies regarding their excuses for pandemic and because they also have these kind of exclusions of attendance for flu, the regular flu. So they have both of these. They both have reopening plans to you. So that's all I can tell you, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Curtis, I'm going to turn it over to Haipa right after Curtis. Go ahead, Haipa. Floor is yours.
I kind of think that this refers to so many different sections that this is too broad, too much to consider in one motion right here. As far as, suspending the whole sections on those, there's just too many. I think it's too broad, that's my opinion. But I wouldn't mind seeing that we just passed a resolution that would reverse the criminal offenses of the parents that have been already charged, and reverses this whole section of suspending it. Because with the code that we just adopted that Dr. Johnson submitted, kind of addresses some of that issue.
That'd be up to the motion maker, but I'm going to turn it over to Curtis right now. Nothing? No. Hey, yeah.
So, I guess, I don't want to hear that, but I think this is going backwards. This is, so now that we adopted, the sort of code and are going to be creating this truancy code, that's great. But going back to, we still have the issue of we have over 200 kids in our court system that are on probation. And, if you listen and talk to parents, they're trying. I had somebody tell me that their wife stays home with their son and has monitored and watched him and they're still getting the notifications on their phone that he's absent. So there's little technical things, and then our kids are ending up in court. This is the only thing I can do to try to help our parents and try to help our families and try to help our kids stay out of the court system unnecessarily. So this is my attempt at helping our families that really don't belong in that court system. Thank you, sir.
There's no further discussion. Is there a question? Question by old agency.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
No.
Lloyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
No.
Louis Johnson, Travel Vice Chairwoman,
No.
Travel Secretary. Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, council and members of the execs. At this time, Dr. Johnson, if you don't have anything else, is there a motion to approve that education report?
Motion.
A move by Kakiza Haska.
Second.
Second by Tokunawa. Question by old agency.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Lloyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford, Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, council and execs. At this time, I'm going to call upon Head Start report. Your 5 action items.
Good afternoon, council and executives. I just have a few I just need a couple items that need to be approved. The first one would be for the Head Start finance report for January. I did speak to we did look up to the Office of Head Start about any increases regarding the second part of COVID funds, and they still have not responded in any way regarding an increase to our funding.
Council, did you hear that? We got a listening audience. We've got to remember that people are listening out there too, so you're going to have to speak
Can
a
you
little bit.
can you hear me now?
You have to speak louder than SpongeBob. There you go.
All right, how about now? Okay, I don't want to be eating the microphone. Okay, so the first one would be the motion to approve the Head Start finance report for January. I did we did look to the Office of Head Start regarding any kind of increase to our funding for the second part of the COVID-19 relief funds, and we did not get a response back. So we are still continuing with the same amount of funds.
Any questions coming from leadership for discussions? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve number 1, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Curtis. Second by Junior Kirk. I'm gonna question by Louis. Louis. Who?
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Tipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Lloyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Chairman, the motion passed.
The second thing on my list would be a motion to approve the attendance report for January. That would be the second page after the finance one. We've had 3 children transfer from early Head Start to Head Start, and then we've had 2 children drop from our program. Our attendance virtually is still very low at the moment due to different reasons.
There's no questions or comments. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Holy smokes. Madam Vice Chair, moved.
Second.
Second by Kakiza Haska. Question by Ole.
Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Tipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Lloyd Kirk Jr. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Same.
Travel Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
The third item would be a motion to approve the CACFP food reimbursement report for January.
So moved by Ole Agency.
Second.
Second by Kakiza Haska. Curtis. Question by Dallas, representing Tokunawa.
Lloyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Tipsy-Wana. Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Chairman, the motion passed.
The fourth item would be a motion to approve the Head Start and Early Head Start newly revised safety plan. I did give it to you all while we were at the Magic. I did meet with Policy Council after that meeting at the Magic, and they did make 2 recommendations to the revised safety plan. What we changed was we did a poll with the parents of Head Start, and about 39 parents responded stating, was it 39? 63 parents responded saying that they would like their child to attend back to school. We did have 20 say that they would like to continue virtual, and then 33 didn't respond, but we did get a few warnings from parents saying that they will pull their child from our program if we did the blended from the A-B session, where A session will come Monday, Tuesday, B session will come Wednesday, Thursday. So Policy Council did make a motion to go the full week. So children will be coming back to school Monday through Thursday. That's what we're hoping for. And then we did give the second option of if they would like to continue virtual, they may. So that was one of the things that Policy Council changed. And then the second thing that they changed was if there was a positive case confirmed within our classroom, the class would close down for 2 days for specifically cleaning, and then we'll continue. So those were the only 2 items that was changed in the revised plan, but you all received a copy of it.
Curtis has a question before Dion.
So is that following pretty much your CDC guidelines then on that?
Yes.
Okay.
We did look up the CDC guidelines on the recommendations, and then we did look at other schools.
Okay.
Secretary, did you have your hand up? Did you have your hand up? Oh, must have been some things.
Approve number 4, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Oladensi. Question by Dion.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy,
Abstain.
Floyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Deon Crawford.
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary, Chairman.
The last item would be a motion to approve the Head Start and Early Head Start school reopening February 16th. We hope to follow, we will be following the safety plan that you all just approved.
So moved.
Right.
So moved by Oladensi, second by Tokunoa. Was that a question by, okay, yeah, got that question that.
Floyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Deon Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy,
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary, Chairman. Motion passed.
No further action items, I'm asking for council to approve the Head Start and Early Head Start report.
Motion.
So moved by Kakiza Haska,
Second.
second by Haipa. Question by Tokunoa.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy,
Yes.
Floyd Burke Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Deon Crawford,
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Travel Secretary, Chairman. Motion passed.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Going on to our agenda, I got Danny White on the agenda for your action item, and legal office, you're on deck. No, legal's after Danny. Is there a Danny out there? Go ahead, Danny, whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, members of Tribal Council. I requested to be before you again. I believe Myrna, the Tribal Secretary, handed out the request, or my request. It's on. Okay, hello? Oh, sorry.
There you are.
Sorry. I'll try to move it closer. It's the same request. It's an additional request to my request for the limited waiver to pursue the wrongful termination action against the Teoshpazina Travel School. As in my presentation prior, can you still hear me? I can't hear me. But I was by the former council who had met and had instructed me to go ahead and file the tribal court. We met with the chairman of the board and said that yes, they can file in tribal court. But upon doing so, the motion to dismiss and whatnot have been filed by the school's attorneys under the sovereign immunity. And so therefore I need to request again the waiver, which I requested prior, which council said I didn't need. due to the discussions that we had had. But, you know, like my argument was prior, that the sovereign immunity, I'm not trying to take down the tribe's sovereign immunity. I'm asking, because what I believe the sovereign immunity was intended for and should be utilized for is to protect the tribe from foreign or outside entities trying to unjustly or attack the tribe. But it shouldn't be allowed an entity of the tribe or a board or a committee of the tribe to take action against tribal members and not have to be held to their policy or their accountability for their, and that's what I was requesting here. If we go to court and I'm wrong, then so be it, I'm wrong. But as I presented in my packet prior, I still haven't received the formal letter from them identifying what it is that they took action against me for. I bypassed my grievance, and as pointed out by the former Vice Chairman, Edwin Johnson, the letter I should have received should have had incorporated all that stuff and should have been from the superintendent, but it's not. I do have that letter here again, but it's from the HR director, who stated she had no idea and hadn't met with the board.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Junior.
This is a personnel issue, so I think we should go into executive session and discuss this.
Well, that's fine.
So move.
So moved by Junior Kirk, second by, is that Dion?
Yes.
Okay. Question by Toknoa.
Floyd Griffin Jr.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
Haley Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gibson Lyon.
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Travel Secretary. Mr. Chairman, motion passed. Order adopted.
All right, Kimberly, whenever you're ready, make sure that mic is on. We got viewers out here.
Okay. So I have not really two action items, just one action item. I just wanted to provide for you all the Bruce Jones contract. And you can see that the one contract for the BIA jail was executed last June. I think that's Verlin's signature on there. I'm not quite sure. The consulting contract was actually just requested by the vice chair a couple weeks ago. And that consulting contract is on the back side of it. The very last page is a draft task order. And this consulting contract was originally executed by Chairman White. It had lapsed at the end of the year, so I did an addendum to extend it from January 1st on. That consulting contract allows the tribal council to send task orders to Bruce Jones that you all agree on to enable him to work on different projects. And it's my understanding that the vice chair wants to use this consulting contract to engage Mr. Jones on assisting with the BIA renovation. There's no one that's really like owned that project, so it's without really a leadership within the tribe. It's my understanding the vice chairman had been working on it, and since the previous vice chairman has left, and I think Jesse Larson was working on it, that planning doesn't really own that project, and so we really need some leadership at the helm. I've actually, in the legal department, have seen no contracts for doing the work on that building. So that concerns me that the tribe is possibly installing equipment that if there's a warranty with it, it's being voided because the right parties aren't installing it, especially HVAC equipment that's really important because it's going to have a lot of very sensitive computer equipment in it. So it's really important, I think, that that's done correctly and properly. When we did a credit application for Train that the chairman signed, I haven't seen any contracts for actual purchase of equipment or a contract with Train to install it. So that's my concern about that. But it's great to have Bruce on board. I actually, Mr. Chairman, just got the request to do the addendum to that contract because it hadn't lapsed until the end of the year, just recently. So it's really, and I know that there was a question about Bruce working on the jail. I've actually not received any legal review requests to do that, but that contract that was executed last June is a valid contract. It's an AIA valid contract to have him as the project manager. Gary Gaikowski said there might be a problem with the BIA not wanting us to call him a project manager, and it looks like Curtis has something to say about that. Okay.
We are actually, there is an advertisement to get a project contractor because that's what BIA states. They're pretty good sticklers on sticking to the process and everything, so we are doing that. We're in the process of doing that. But we still need Bruce Jones to come on board with us because he was there since day one working on this with us, and I think he's a good asset to the tribe as far as asking the right questions and making sure they are keeping them on their toes also. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm done.
Louis.
I'll add to Curtis's statement. Bruce Jones is our owner's rep. We have to have that aboard, and he's already on that for the jail.
Any more questions coming from leadership?
Okay, all right. So that's what the information about Bruce Jones. You'll see on the very last page is a task order that I started this morning at the request of the vice chair. And it kind of lays out that Bruce Jones would start, because both parties have executed now. So And I just did this as an example, but I think it contains the information that we need to get going, and that he will meet with the vice chair on a weekly basis. He will provide a written report to the council on a weekly basis. And then I've included working with the legal department, because I want to make sure we have the proper contracts in place to do that work. This is a time sense because it's paid with COVID money, and I've mentioned this to the chairman and some of the executives. I do believe that because there's a lot of equipment in here for telework, that the telework was conducted in, well, because of the pandemic. We said we needed this building because of telework, to allow people to, and there's a lot of computers that are on order and stuff, so that immediacy is an important element of this building, that we need this telework capability because of the pandemic. And I just wanted to make sure that that was on everybody's radar screen, to make sure and continue the eligibility with the CRF funds for teleworking. We should probably be doing some teleworking. So, and we talked with Mr. Gunn about that. So I have also given you a draft contract for Barbara Santacola. And Barbara Santacola began working for the tribe under Ella Robertson's administration. In fact, the contract that I got from Barbara Santacola, because we didn't have an executed contract in the files, is signed by, I think it might be signed by Donovan, now that I'm thinking about it, but that it was done by Ella. She started, I think maybe Donovan signed it. But so she did some work doing grant proposals. Yesterday morning, Gary Gaikowski emailed me and said, could I get this addendum done today? Because he was presenting yesterday. So we quickly worked to prepare the addendum for your approval today that would, that initial contract has lapsed, but this is an addendum to extend out her work. It has a lot of original terms in it about complying with Soros and different things that are important. But it would enable Barbara and her staff to help us with helping the, and I don't know what Gary told you. He wants to apply for 2 or 3 areas of the CTAS program, and I've handed out the CTAS too. And so he asked me to bring this to council today to get Barbara Santacola's addendum approved. I've also looped in Matt Thompson to make sure that he knew that this was happening, since it came from Gary, but I think planning owned it previously. So I wanted to make sure Matt knew that this was coming forward. And when we did the original contract, I do believe that it was the chairperson who was kind of like the contact for Barbara Santacola. I think you might want to change that. We have a different contact person for Barbara Santacola, but do you want that to be Gary Gaikowski or Matt Thompson? That's a question for council.
Madam Vice Chair.
So under this contract, it seems like they've done, they're open to about 10 to 12 grants, right? They'll write up to, I think it's 12. I can't remember if it's 10 or 12. So Gary's just going to be one of the 10 or 12. So who's going to oversee all of it? I think planning should be a part of overseeing all of it. So I think he needs to stay, that needs to stay with Matt so he can keep an eye on these grant projects.
So
It's going to be more than just Gary that they're going to be writing for.
I think actually Gary wants to apply for 4 different areas of the CTAS. If you see, there's a lot of CTAS areas. I think he wants to apply for 3 or 4. There's an opportunity to apply for a healing to wellness court. I wanted to make sure that the judge knew about that opportunity. I think you've identified Section 7 money to pay for this, because the contract is capped at $65,000. So that would be 10 proposals, about $6,500 per proposal. So I think we're going to use Section 7 money as the funding source, and that's earmarked for economic development. So I don't know if you want to say half of these have to be used for projects that are strictly identified as economic development, because this
CTAS stuff is really kind of more justice and social things, but that does go towards having an environment that's very conducive to economic development. So,
Thank you. Members of the council, is there any questions on the addendum? Go ahead, Dixie.
Thank you. I was just wondering at the front there, it says 10 grants, but is there a minimum dollar amount for the grants in order to receive that 6,500? I mean, because if you get a $10,000 grant, and we're gonna, I mean, you know, so that's why I'm wondering, is there a minimum requirement that we have or that we want to include in that?
yeah, no.
Does that matter to anybody else? I mean, do you want to put that in there? Yeah.
It's capped at 65,000.
Well, yeah, I know, but if,
So basically, within that 65,000, you can submit for a grant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is just a comment. I think that, you know, maybe going forward, not today, but, you know, in the future, it'd be really nice to have a system in which we decide who applies for funding, and how that's kind of rendered out, because I think what I've seen in the past is working for a program that is grant funded, is that whoever can get to the chairman's office first and get their form signed is the one who applies for those fundings. And some programs are more in need of those funding sources, and some programs aren't. So you have, you know, programs that are funded fully, you know, with this huge grant, and they're applying for funding, and then programs that are funded maybe, you know, program support and another grant, you know, and then those programs are overlooked because they get over here quick enough. And then I think with the former chairman, he was just very picky about how that. So I would like to see in the future a process, you know, outlined instead of just, you know, putting that responsibility on our chairman. But yeah, and I would like to make a motion accepting this.
Motion on the floor to accept the addendum. Question by Madam Secretary or Vice Chair? Yeah.
Okay, so Dion, I'm checking with Dion on that, and I met with Eric and Gary, and we had brief discussions on that issue because they're coming 11th hour, when really this process should have started in October, November, because federal funding would be getting released at the end of December into January, February, right? So how I see it is maybe right around October, November, we can have meetings with our program managers, and we can have think tanks, and we can storm ideas and see which programs can link together on different things. And out of those think tanks, we can prioritize and set up a system like that. Because the more we're talking and talking about need and vision together, I think we can come up with some really good processes and funding we can go after that works together with all of our programs. So I would love to see something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Call for question? Question by Legacy.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Tijuana,
yes,
Joe Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Yes. Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, members of council and execs. And Kimberly, back to Bruce's contract. The first page is the 14th day of June, 2019. The last two pages, the last page is right, but the one I signed is October 19th. So just make it consistent.
Okay, I
Thank-
will do that. I will do that.
Questions I have?
Yeah. Could I get a motion to approve the task order for Bruce's contract, though, so that the vice chair could move forward with that? And then she could add things to it, but that's, it per that consulting agreement, that's the way that is supposed to work. The tribal council approves the task orders that then goes to him. And then he kind of says how many hours and stuff that it will take, but that task order has to come from you all. And since this is on a short time frame, I think we need to get that approved so you can start working with him.
Moved by Oladense, second by Tokunawa.
Question.
Question by Kakiza Haska.
Floyd Kerr Jr. Yes. Al Jones. Yes. Amy Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Yes. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gisiwana.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
All right, just a reminder, council and execs, remember these are going to go back to legal.
And so, we have the judge here is going to talk to you about someone who's applied to be the prosecutor, and then I have our legal department reports. I'm going to hand those out, and we'll give our legal department report after the judge talks to you.
Okay, Judge McGeary, just a reminder to make sure that the light is on and speak clearly because we have a listening audience out there.
Okay. Good
Thank you.
afternoon, council. I don't know if you're aware, but Alex Bayan, our tribal prosecutor, has given his resignation. And so his last day will be the last day of February. Kimberly has given me a name and phone number of an attorney in California, Amanda Wilbur. And I guess I'm asking for a motion to hire her. You know, the court cannot be without a prosecutor.
Curtis.
Mr. Chairman, I think we advertised.
We advertised?
Yes. What's that?
Emergency hire criteria?
My concern with advertising, I mean, we've advertised for the public defender position for 7 months and no one applied. This tribe cannot be, and this court cannot be without a prosecutor for 4 days. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. Law enforcement would be, yeah.
Where's this Amanda Wilbur? Where's she come from? I mean, who recommended her?
Kimberly Craven.
She, just like I recommended Elmer Ward, look at Elmer Ward sitting there. I recommended Amanda Wilbur. She's a longtime friend of mine. She's got a Juris Doctoral. But anyway, she worked at Rosebud. She loves the Great Plains.
My concern is just not having someone. We can't function without a prosecutor. You know, law enforcement would be horrified if I told them we didn't have a prosecutor because it would be catch and release. Somebody would be incarcerated and then they would be released, no matter what they did, because a criminal complaint couldn't be filed against them. So that's a problem.
Sorry, Judge McGeary.
Sorry. Well, my problem is that we've been down this road before and we've hired friends of friends and stuff, and it just don't work out. So my advice is we advertise for this. That's all I'm saying. I mean, this is my opinion, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Judge McGeary?
Okay, so if we advertise, I mean, and I talked to her yesterday. I really like her. She's worked in Arizona for the Hopi tribe. She's worked in California for a tribe. She does some healthcare compliance stuff right now. Seems like a smart girl. And she wants to be an employee. She wants to be, I don't know how that would work, a contractor employee, but she wants benefits because she's got a little one. She's willing to move here from California. So that's a big deal for someone to want to move here and work here from, you know, sunny Palm Tree, California to cold Sisseton. I mean, she's showing some dedication, some desire to work in Indian country. And I had a great talk with her yesterday. She could work 5 days a week. My concern is, and yeah, it's great to post jobs and put them on Turtle Talk and other indigenous law websites, but how long do we wait? I can't wait for a prosecutor. I'm waiting for a public defender for 7 months, and I don't have one person who applied. So that scares me.
Gypsy, then I'm going to turn it over to Diane.
I guess I'd just like to make a motion that we would hire this person based on Kimberly's recommendation, but only as a temporary basis, pending the advertising of somebody. I mean, that way we don't have, so we can address the judge's fears about not having a prosecutor. But I'd still like to see all the background information on her and everything.
Motion on the floor.
Can I just respond real quick? If I tell her it's a temp position, no way. She's not going to move here from California to come temporarily.
I know we got hands up, but the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Would you like to interview her?
Motion died. Go ahead, was your hand up before? Go ahead, Dion, and Madam Vice Chair.
I'm not seconding the motion, I just have questions.
No, I thought you had a question.
Yeah, I have
She had a question.
Since she already submitted an application, would it be possible for us to just advertise very short term and then, if that's the only applicant, then that's the only applicant? She already has an application. Because we have,
2 more weeks, yeah, but that's going to come fast, and then when he walks out the door, what do I do?
do we have anybody in the community that would be willing to be a temporary prosecutor if the process takes? I mean, I know that we don't move at lightning speed. I get that, but I also think that we just do that if we need.
Madam Vice Chairwoman, then I'm going to turn it over to Tribal Secretary.
So we have a long history of losing our prosecutor, Karen. We'll let her go. We can't find anybody. We'll advertise. Nobody will come here to do this. We end up calling her back. We've done that a few times. And we've seen now, since we let her go, we can't get anybody that's going to come in and do this job. We've been advertising for it. So we finally have someone that's applied for it. I think we need to just hire. Because like the judge is saying, in 2 weeks when they're gone, that's a vital position within our judicial system that we can't have overlaps. We can do, and we can eval within a certain amount of time that she's working out. And if it seems so that she's not, then we can begin advertising. You know what I mean? So, but we just can't let this position fall short. We need it. It's vital to our judicial process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Tribal Secretary.
I agree with the vice chairperson because we've advertised for this position for almost a year, the prosecutor, because Alex is a temporary hire.
Correct.
Extended and extended, which is extended hire expired. So we can actually probably interview her and hire her at this point because she's the only applicant.
Correct.
So that would be my suggestion too, is just interview her, and if we like her, she's the only applicant, we can hire her.
Yep. Thank you, Tribal Secretary. Ellis.
So is it to my understanding, as of right now, we are currently advertising for a prosecutor?
Public defender.
Yeah, no, I mean prosecutor though.
Last year.
So as of right now, there's no current advertisement for a prosecutor.
I don't think so.
I do not feel like rushing into something like this. I understand the urgency, but I mean, this is a fairly important process. I mean, if she's willing to work with us that badly, she can wait until we advertise it. And like Dion said, her application is in, and then we can just go from there. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Go ahead, Judge Rigger.
Well, I guess I just asked for a vote then. I mean, it looks like there's a split opinion. I'd like to bring her on board, and I guess I just would like a vote on it, a motion, or to pass. I want to bring her on, but obviously that's up to you.
Haipa made that motion, the motion died.
I'll make the motion to hire Amanda Wilbur as a prosecutor.
I was going to say I could amend my motion too if you want.
Okay. Do you want to amend that motion, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, amend your
I
motion.
mean, if we're all in agreement, yeah, I'll amend that motion to hire this Amanda Wilbur because of the emergency situation. Oh, okay. Well, then the vice chair made it then. And I'll second.
Can you clarify your motion though, Madam Vice Chair?
My motion is to hire Amanda Wilbur, the only applicant for the position of prosecutor.
Motion on the floor. Asking for a second. Second, Gypsy, second. Question, Iya Gapta.
Madam Vice Chair, who's going to do the negotiation of the contract? Ready, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
President Bissonnette? No. Brandon Tijuana?
Yes.
Will Kirk Jr.? No. Dallas Owen? No. David A. Amos?
Yes.
Julie Johnson? Dion Crawford?
No.
Travel Secretary? Yes. Mr. Chairman, the motion is defeated.
Thank you, members of council and exec. Anything else coming from legal?
Okay.
Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks.
So who starts advertising for the prosecutor? Who puts that out? Is that HR or?
HR.
So then who will start that process?
HR will do it. I can draft the job description. It's already drafted. Alex, I drafted it for Alex, so they'll advertise it, and then we'll wait for an applicant. If there is no applicant and Alex leaves, there's nothing for me to do. I just have to release them from custody. Do you understand that? Like if they go to jail and they stab someone, I can't keep them. They just have to come back out.
I understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
How would it be if we schedule to do a Zoom interview?
I can't hear you that well.
How would it be, council, if we schedule to do a Zoom interview and then decide? Would we be okay with that?
Yeah.
We have a process in place that's been in place probably since the beginning of the existence of this tribe on how we acquire employees. Why we are trying to forego that process, I don't understand. We have an applicant. If she's the only applicant, she will be hired permanently, and we will offer her a contract at that time. Now, we can ask HR to expedite that process, but foregoing our process that we have in place we have till the end of the month. And I find it disrespectful that, I get it, this is what you want, you're pushing, but we have a process in place. Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam Vice Chair.
So what are we doing then? Are we going to advertise it? Is that what we're doing? We're advertising?
Advertising.
Okay, what's our end date? Or just till filled? What's that?
Weeks?
Well, hopefully you can get it advertised and selected before the end of the month. When her last day is what, February?
28th is his last day.
28th? Well, which is a Sunday, right?
Okay.
Or is that Monday?
Yep.
Anything
Then we'll
else legal?
Advertise it.
Any action items?
Pardon me?
Does council need to make a motion to accept Alex's resignation?
You should.
Oh, I don't know that. That's kind of a court thing.
I accepted his resignation, so I don't know if you need to, but I did as chief judge.
He was temporary, as far as I understand, and his contract expired. Right?
Was he temporary or was he full-time?
He was temporary.
Temporary contract.
Temporary. His contract lapsed a long time ago.
We just extended it because no one else ever put it.
Can I make a motion to advertise for a prosecutor? And run it till filled.
Moved. Second by all agency. Question by Tokunawa.
So she's expecting a call back from me
Just
today.
1 second, Judge Reguera, sorry about that. We got a call for a vote yet.
Oh, sorry.
Curtis Bissonnette. Yes. Brandon Fifty-one.
Yes.
Floyd Burns Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. J. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Thank you, Member of Council.
Can we put oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Can we put a 2-week time limit on that, Verlin? Okay. Yeah.
Verlin's
I'll
Verlin-
put a 2-week time limit on that if you're okay, Council.
You just said, no time limit until filled. That could be next
Tell
week.
Phil, but we could review in
That
2
could be
weeks.
next week, though. You already got that.
Okay.
So what do you want to word it over? Fulfilled or 2 weeks?
Thanks for clarification.
Mr. Chairman, I'll tell her to, I'll get back with her today. I'll tell her what you decided, and I'll tell her to put in for it. She applied for the in-house counsel position in January. That's why we have her application. It wasn't for the tribal prosecutor position. And so I'll tell her to put her name in for the tribal prosecutor position, and then if you'd like, you could interview her. Is that the process we're doing?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and if, in 2 weeks, if there's no one else, I assume you'll interview her?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Our sooner, Judge Reguera.
I'm sorry?
Our sooner.
I hope so. I don't want to be without a prosecutor, I don't.
No.
Not a good place to be.
Anything else, Kimberly?
Yes, we have our monthly report. This is our first monthly report.
No, you have any action items?
Oh, no more action
Okay.
items, no.
We'll hold off on those monthly reports until we comfortable with this pandemic that we're going through. So far, we're just asking for action items
Oh.
only.
Don Eagle asked if I had my monthly report done, so we did it. I handed it out. If anybody has
Oh.
any questions,
Yep.
please let us know.
Yes, we asked for them so we could give them all to the leadership.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, Kimberly. Anything else coming from legal? If
Motion
not,
to
we're gonna
approve.
move- A motion to approve the legal report. Motion moved by Madam Vice Chair to approve the legal report.
I did.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry about that, Curtis. Well, could we switch that around? Moved by Curtis and second by Madam Vice Chair. My ears are giving out. Question by all agency.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Fifty-one.
Yes.
Floyd Burns Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. J. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman. Yes. Tribal Secretary. Yes. Chairman, motion passed.
At this time, I'm going to call Verlin to give the Zelma's report. Oh, yeah, yes.
Good afternoon, Tribal Council. Zelma had an appointment today, so I'll be giving her report. Okay, under Exhibit C, we have 6 applicants requesting enrollment into the System Wapanoyate. I apologize in advance if I butcher some of these names. First one, Solana Alessandra Barrientos Martel, Stanley Gary Barst III, Andres Carey Dominguez, Wakia Yuhayu German, Luca James Kirpan, Bryce Laverne LaFontaine. Under Exhibit B, we have 17 applicants requesting enrollment. Keandra Ray Hagan, Nash Ellen Heminger Jr., Tate Matthew McKee, Tanya Dorothea K. McKee, Artorius Ezra Gray Martin, Anika Kimimila Owen, Sapphire Rain Renville, Zozo Doan Renville, Memphis David James Rockwood, Abigail Rose Rojas, Azilio Alejandro Rojas, Marcos Andres Rojas, Braylee Marie Shepherd, Ryder Zane Stands on Top, Emmett Lee Hartson Tordson, Briella Grace Wana, and Azidia James White. Under Exhibit C, there are 20 applicants requesting enrollment in the system Wampanoyate. Amelia Rose Allerley, Irene Starr Blackbird, Jackson Dale Carlson, Anemiki Chaba Erdrich, Hawiampa Leon Gonzalez, Alexandria Quinn Grogan, Kai Gabriel Henning, Asa Edward Johnson, Harmony Nevea Kelso, Nia Blossom Labatt, Drez Moon Littlebird, Leandrea Skyanne Littlebird, Monica Daenerys Littlebird, Perseus Drayden Knight Littlebird, Anthony Cade Locke, Keon Bracid Red Buffalo, Irvin Jamie Robertson, Gemma Jewel Schoenrock, Zion Daniel Shepard, and Roman Joker Spider.
Second.
Yes.
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 Second.
A move by Oledensi, second by Kakiza Haska. Question coming over by Buffalo Lake.
Yes.
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 Motion to approve Exhibit C.
Motion.
So moved by Kakiza Haska, second Buffalo Lake. Question by Oledensi.
Yes.
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 Okay, Tribal Council, as of September, enrollment was 14,337, with the addition of the 43 enrolled today. However, we had 8 tribal members who passed away in January, and September through December, we had 81 tribal members who passed away. So it actually reduced our enrollment down to 14,299 for that time period. And currently, we have 6,094 on reservation, 8,205 off reservation. And registered voters for Bekuli, 1,062, Buffalo Lake, 587, Enemy Swim, 1,768, Chaipa Vedlin, 1,467, Lake Travers, 1,223, Long Hollow, 1,116, and Old Agency, 1,419, total registered, 8,642 travel members, enrolled travel members.
Dallas? Henry? Oh. So moved by Oledensi. Second by Dion, Lake Traverse. Question by Curtis. Long Hollow.
Yes.
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 Thank you, members of the council. And thank you, Berlin. Appreciate it. Dallas, did you have anything?
I do, I got quite a few items here.
Oh,
All right, you're gonna want to start that over again. So the first motion that I would like to bring to the table today is to rescind the motion enacting the 85-15 gaming fund split and to restore district distribution to original amounts prior to the recommendation of DNG. Second.
Before I call for a question, Madam Vice Chair.
I think I sent out a roundtable request to talk about that with D&GE, and they're going to give us some options. So could we do that together as a council and talk about that?
How much it stands?
Is there a question? If there is no question, I'm going to call for a vote.
Dallas Owens,
Yes.
Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Ducey-Wana,
No.
Floyd Kirk Jr.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
You still have the floor, Dallas.
I'd like to make another motion. DNGE will continue to give frontline workers hazard pay for the remainder of the pandemic.
Yes. 1 second.
DNGE will continue to give frontline workers hazard pay for the remainder of the pandemic.
Excuse me for Curtis, guys. I thought we made that was a motion for us previous. Wasn't that? I think Francis entertained that motion. If I remember right, was it?
And they just got their PPP, which includes all of that.
So that
That's already covered.
that motion was already, it's already, yeah.
All right, cancel and I'll move on to number 3. I withdraw my motion.
Sorry to take your thunder, but that already happened.
So this is
Just before you go on, I got Gypsy Wana has her hand raised. Oh,
You guys, I was gonna ask about that motion, but you guys already done it. I mean, it's,
go ahead, Dallas.
So we have always distributed our funds to the districts by population, and so therefore, I think this second distribution of $700,000 should be prorated by district population.
The previous count,
Oh, okay.
the previous council, you mean that last 700? That the previous council awarded?
That every district would be getting 100,000. It would only be fair to be by population.
Well, just a little history on the first round, the 700, when we made that initial motion, that was just supposed to original intent was for each district to get the same amount. Somehow that got changed, and then this last motion that was made before previous council left, they made it that it's 700, 100 goes to each district. So the reason why some of that discussion is because although we have districts with smaller population, there's equipment purchase and things like that, supplies that they can order that they're being shorted when they could have that full 100 and really impact their district. And we want to make the biggest impact possible. So fairly giving everybody each that 100. was what was the backdrop for that motion before. Now, remember, that 700, because that motion, or they were expecting that to come out of the first draw, but it's not there, so we're going to have to wait for the second draw. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So your motion, Dallas? Motion on the floor. Did anybody second? Motion died. Lack of second.
All right, thank you for giving me that time. And then, Mr. Chairman, did you want to talk about the House Resolution Bill?
Yeah, the House Reservation Bill, the Dakota Removal Resolution. Do you want me to support that bill as leaders from us? Crow Creek Sioux Tribe already said yes, they're in support, but not the. They want to stick with the previous language to it. If I'm. Go ahead.
So there's a link in the group text of our work cells that'll take you to the bill as it stands. And there was, Mr. Chairman supported it, but then there was additional amendments that were brought forward. And if you were to click on that link, if you just go to sdlegislation.com for our listeners out there, and if you want to look at the bill as it stands, that's going to be House Concurrent Resolution 6001. But there was a tremendous amount of revising, and so it almost, to me, I'll go and be honest, the original bill, the intent was there, you know, for when we were engaging what we wanted from the United States government, Congress. Now I feel like it's kind of been watered down, but that's just my personal opinion, but that's just what I'd like to share. Thank you.
Yeah. Crow Creek and Flandreau support or oppose the amendment, but supports the original language into that bill. So do you want me to go into support that? You could just say yeah or no.
I don't even know what it is. I suppose I got to read it.
Okay.
Yeah, can you kind of give us a...
Basically, they want to basically remove the history of what happened in the first. You look at all the cross-out stuff?
Yeah.
I agree with the original language
Yep.
of the amendment. That you should support that, but not
Not all the other amendments coming in after that?
yeah, because it just deletes everything of the history of us.
Yeah.
I think anyways, that's my opinion.
Do we need a resolution? I don't think we need a resolution, do we?
A resolution is not needed, but is definitely helpful, because then, as I was talking to the state legislators, when we do a resolution and we send it to our rep, and whether that be the House or Senate, then they know where we officially stand as a government. And so if we want to go forward with this, then I think a resolution would be appropriate.
We'll have, are you making that motion and ask legal to draft that? Since you're on fire.
As of right now, though, I support the original language. Is that what we're going for? I'd like to make the motion to draft a resolution to support the original language of House Bill 6001.
With the legal.
With legal taking the lead on it.
So moved. Second. Oh. Madam Vice Chair. I can smell that patchouli from here. Is there a question? Question, Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
David Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Yes. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Lloyd Kirk Jr.?
Yes.
Travel Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Travel Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed. Thank you, members. Council, the execs, and we'll note that, and I'll let you know our quarterly, and we'll go to no action items left on our agenda. Oh, all right, moving.
Our, can we can meet with Arif Bowie without us being in session?
Yes.
Because it's going to be
Adjourn,
for
Mr. Chair.
council. So there's a motion to, motion to adjourn. By Madam Vice Chair, second, Dion. That's all we need. Sorry about that. Members of council and execs, we are finished at 1:55.
I guess I gotta say it.
We are adjourned.